One of the biggest challenges facing Europe is unemployment, and Southern Europe in particular. Italy, with an unemployment rate among its young people of 38%, is particularly hard hit. Mr. Enrico Giovannini is Italy's recently appointed Minister for Labour and Social Policy. Mr. Giovannini, thank you for joining us at INSEAD Knowledge. Please could you tell us a little bit about how you see the unemployment problem and what are your plans for tackling it?
Labour in Italy is maybe the most important challenge. In fact, we have almost 3 million people unemployed, but we also have almost 3 million people who are inactive. They would like to be active on the labour market. Therefore, we are talking about a lot of people with different characteristics. Of course, youth unemployment is the number one priority for our government. We have almost 38% of youth unemployment in Italy, which is very high, not as high as the Spanish one, but of course is a big concern for us. Now, how to do that? We have to remember that Italy is a very different country. In the north and the south are very different. So in the north, we need, of course, to reactivate investments, small and medium enterprises, large enterprises who are facing especially credit crunch. So in that part of Italy, we have a perspective and we have to use macroeconomic and financial tools in order to push companies to invest and to grow. While in the south, we have a different situation. We have to make the South more attractive for investments because we have to remember that only the private sector creates employment, enterprises create employment. So as you can see, there are two different recipes, if you wish. From our side, we have anyway to make the labor market more conducive for youth employment. And on the other hand, we have to overcome some barriers that the labor market is facing, and this is what the new legislation is about.
Specifically, you've set yourself the target of reducing unemployment among young people by 100,000. How do you intend to achieve that?
I made the example that if we could cut this unemployment by 100,000 people, the rate would go down towards 30%. How to do that? The Youth Guarantee, which is this policy that the European Union has established, which means that within 4 or 6 months from the end of the education, a young person has to receive an offer or has to go through a training program in order to prepare this person to be immediately employed. Well, it is a good way to approach. Of course, some of the ingredients of this recipe require funds, and this is where Italy is quite constrained because our situation of fiscal policy is still very tight. But it's where I think the funds coming from the European Union can be very well used. We should try to anticipate as much as we can the funds that we receive for this program, but also the structural funds. In 2014, a new cycle will start. So it's very important to be able by 1st January 2014 to spend this money in an effective way in order to be able to provide a shock, a positive shock on the labor market. And I know that a lot of companies are also waiting for new plans of expansion because of the uncertainty. If this government and Europe as a whole are able to provide a positive signal of growth, not only austerity, well, I am sure that a lot of companies will go back to their original plans and this will stimulate employment.
Enrico Giovannini, Italy's Minister for Labour and Social Policy, thank you very much for joining us at INSEAD Knowledge.
Thank you very much.